So I got to looking
I've
at
been
the
able to get
video.
this off.
I said, boy, it'd be nice to get it closer.
I'm assuming it's
Okay, so I've already replaced this one.
just to protect the signal.
Hoping.
Just look at them real close, and if you need, because I know. So in this video, we're going to show how to do a horizontal box plot. It's just a different type of box plot showing the same information, but it's horizontal. And we have to build our own. We cannot use any of the templates in Excel. And I have other videos, which the two on the left are using templates that are built within Excel. It's the same template, just the data is in a slightly different form. And yeah, 2016 Excel. And that's the box and whiskers plot. So I got a video showing that. And then I have a video that's showing the vertical box plot. And this is made out of a stacked column plot, and you can either use XY scatter plot or the line with markers plots. And so it's basically a combination plot. Down here, we're using a stacked horizontal bar plot. Is that? Yeah. And I have to go look. Okay, over here on the bottom, we're going to use the stacked horizontal bar plot. The stacked bar plot. Stacked column is the vertical ones, bars are the horizontal types of plots according to Excel. Now in the vertical box plot, we have to do calculations. And so in that plot, in that videos, I show you how to make the calculations. I'm not going to do that all over again. So go find my vertical box plot. Not sure the exact title, but and Excel may change the name of this table to 182. It was 18 in the vertical box plot page, which is right there. This here changed it to 182. It's got its own naming convention. I haven't bothered to learn it. But the data we work with is these guys here. So it's the boxes that we've calculated because we're stacking, in this case, bars horizontally or boxes horizontally. And to do that, highlight the data. You don't need to highlight any heading names, just the data itself. Select that little drop down arrow, and we use this stacked bar. And then it'll pop that up. And if you've seen the other video entirely, the first step is to make these invisible. And that's what we're going to do. No, first thing we do, I'm going to follow this over here. So we're going to have to reverse the axis orientation. So, and I forget to tell you that what we need to do is we need to change these from names from 1, 2, and 3 to M1, M2, M3. To do that, click someplace on the data and select the data. Just right-click and get Select Data, and we want to edit over here the horizontal category axis labels. So click Edit, and then it'll ask you the axis label range, and that's when you select M1, M2, M3. And then it populates it here, and you can see behind it that it's populated those already. And then you can see that they're, in my mind, I'm not sure about your mind, but I want M1 on top, M2 in the middle, and M3 on the bottom. So to do that, there's multiple ways, but you can double-click on the axis, the vertical axis, or you can double-click with left, or you can single-click left and then right-click Format Axis, and then it opens this Format box to the right. Now what I'm going to do is we're not going to need the table, so I'm going to just slide it over like that and leave this Format Axis up here probably the whole time. But the first thing we want to do is down here we got a box, categories in reverse order. So flip that, and then you see it's flipped it. We've got M1 on top, M3 on the bottom, but now we see that the horizontal axis is on top. So now over here you can see that horizontal axis crosses, and we want to say at maximum category, which is M3. Click that, and now we got it oriented correctly. So we'll go ahead and leave this right here. Come over here. The next thing to do is make these boxes invisible. The first box is invisible, and then the orange and the gray boxes become the inner quartile range. And we're going to turn those blue. But first, let's make this one invisible. I did a right click, so let me start over. I got the boxes selected, and if I click out and click back in, if I click on one, any one of those, you can see all three are selected. If I accidentally clicked again, only one becomes selected. So you want to make sure all three of those are selected. And you can tell because of those 4 dots at the corners. So I did a right click on one of them, fill, get the drop down, and we choose no fill. And then what you want to do is click somewhere either out of the chart or anywhere, but to see if those are invisible, because sometimes, maybe, who knows, the box may be highlighted. And it's not, so we're happy. So the orange one, I did a left click, now a right click, do the fill. I want to change it to this blue color. If you got some other color you like, choose that. And I'll show you, we'll go to the next one, choose the fill again, choose the blue. Now if you click out, you can't see the median line. So now what we need to do is go back and do the outline for each of them. Choose, not instead of a darker blue color, I like this gray color here. You go ahead and play with it, find out which color you like. So now I'm going to the box to the, it's not the Q3 box, but it's the box that's stacked on to look like Q3. This Q3 includes Q1, Q2, and Q3. But now, when we click out, we can see the median. It's got the kind of a soft, it's not a gray, it's a soft black, dark gray. So we got these guys. Next thing, we got the boxes all formatted, so now we want to do the average. To do the average, it's going to be a little tricky, but click somewhere inside the chart, look for select data, select that one, and then we want to add some data. This is making sense. We want to make sure we choose the name so we keep track of it. And then choose, you could do, I'm going to do tab this time. So if you do tab, it drops to the next box and it highlights that equals 1 inside the curly parentheses. So the values I want are 4.2, 5.1, and 3.3 there. Those 3 boxes. I click OK, and we see it added boxes back here. And we don't want the boxes. What we want is we want to have circles. I like circles. You can do red X's. You can do whatever you want, or something, but we're going to do circles for this demonstration. So we want these to be circles, so we have to use something than a bar to plot it. So if you click on this box here, and this is the, you could click outside here too and get to the same spot, but Excel takes, I'm going to show you. Let's just go there, show you what Excel does. I did a click and I chose that change chart type, then click on combo, and Excel starts taking guesses, and they're taking guesses in the wrong way. And so I'm going to cancel out of this. I'm just showing you what happens. You could fight your way through it. I think if we chose this, oh, they're going clustered columns. We want bars. So Excel's taking way too many guesses. So if you right-click on one of the orange, yellow boxes there, do change series chart type, and we end up in combo, which is where we want. I'm going to make this, drop this down just so we can see more. There we go. So it's left, everything is a stacked bar. It's waiting for you to tell it what to do. Select the secondary axis for the average. It's now made it on another axis. And it's showing you the axis on the top. We don't want a stacked bar. We want, and we don't want markers with line or line with markers. We want the scatter, XY scatter plot with straight lines and markers. Now you could choose, if you know you're not going to draw a line between the average, then you could just choose scatter, but we'll go with a line just to make everything harder. And now it's not what we want, but that's okay. I'll explain to you what Excel has done here. This is the first value, second value, third value. Let's put it on a secondary axis, the vertical axis. The primary axis, it's chosen for 4.2, the value of 1. It's chosen for the value of 5.1, it's chosen an x value of 2. We don't want to do that. we want to make X to have these values up here. We want Y to have different values. Now, which values do we choose? Well, we would like Y to be a 5 for when it plots this at this first point at 4.2. So if it plotted this at 4.2 over to the right at 4.2-ish about here, but up on 5, it would put it right here. So on and so forth. So that's what the second y-axis values is all about. M1's bar lines up on 5 on the secondary y-axis. So I put a 5 in there. M2's bar lines up on 3, and M3's bar lines up on 1. Can you see that? I hope so. So to change that, highlight the average values, lines and markers, and we want to go into select data. We want to select average, and then we want to edit. So the name we're not going to change, but it's the X values we want to change. We want these to be the X values. Oops, I just changed the name. I'm going to cancel out of that. So now we're going back to average, edit. It's not the name I want to change, it's the X values I want to change. Yep, now that's series X values, so that's changed. Click this little box. Now the values to select are this 5, 3, 1. Now if you had more value, and I'm clicking OK, and click OK. If you were doing, let's say, 5 or 10 points or whatever, if you had 10 of these bars on yours, you would have different values here, and you just have to look at it and figure it out and see how they line up with each other. And you could always force the axis to be a certain way or size so it works better for you. May take some playing. So now we want to format this. We don't want this bright yellow, and we don't want solid circles. And so I'm going to, we got multiple ways to do this, but I'm going to, the marker, the average line and markers is highlighted, so we're going to change its format. We're not going to change the series option. Well, we can't do anything anyways. What we want to do is go on, click on the paint can. We can either choose to not have a line or to have a line. Let's go say we go ahead and I'll show you how to do a line. I like this gray color. You can choose a different color because it does look kind of dark, but that's because it's too fat. If I reduce it by hitting this little drop down arrow, someplace about 0.75 or 0.5, it looks good to me. Now the marker, I don't want this yellow marker. Options, I could choose it. This is where you would change to choose a different marker. You click built in, and that's where you can choose all these different designs. I'm going to leave it where it is. The type is this circle, so I'll leave that automatic. You could also choose none if you, well, then why are you putting this in, right? But the fill, we don't want to have any fill, and we don't want this yellow color. At least I don't, so I'm going with that same dark gray. Now if I click somewhere out, now that's what it looks like. I believe it's made this border line the same thickness as the, let's go look at that. I'm real curious. So the solid line, there's the marker. Click on marker, border. It's made the border 0.75. So if the border was too thick for you, for whatever Excel chose, you could go in there and change that too. But I like this value. I like what it looks like so far. So we've got the average. We've got it all formatted correctly. So now let's go to whiskers. So whiskers, you can't put a whisker on the bottom or the left-hand side of the box, of whatever box you're working with, or bar, I should say. It'll only put the whiskers on the right-hand side. So you have to select this invisible box to put a whisker in the negative direction of where it wants to put the whisker on. Or in this case, we're actually going for error bars. So this is just a property of error bars, of where you can, and whoops, wrong one. There we go, error bar. Click that. We're going to have to choose more options because we're not using any of those calculated values that Excel calculates for you. We're not going to format it just yet, but I just want to choose whether it's going in both directions, the minus direction or the plus direction. This one we want to have go in the minus direction. And we're going to choose no cap. And I'll show you why in a second. And we're going to choose custom and specify value. Positive error value, we're not going to put anything in there. We'll leave the fact that it's got that equals 1 in the parenthesis. You could click tab and it jumps through to the next one. Or you can just click inside it and drag to the left, but make sure the equals 1 is colored in that gray color, indicating that it's been selected. So which values are we going to choose? We're going to choose all three of the whisker minus. So this we calculated. Click OK. Now what we want to do is change the format of the line. We want the color. It's choosing this dark gray color. I'm going to go with a slightly lighter gray color, and then I'm just going to make the line thicker. And someplace around 6 I've found is decent, so we'll go 6.5. It's just a different way to do it to show you that there's data points in there. Now we go to the box that makes the Q3 line. And now we're going to add an error bar. So we come up to the Charter Elements box, plus box or addition box, error bars, click on the box, the error bars, go to the little arrow, right-hand arrow, more options. We want to define how we're doing this. For this one, we're going to the right-hand side, which is the plus direction. No cap, because we want to go with that fat bar. And then we want to go with custom. We're not using any of those other standard calculations because we did our own calculation. We definitely want to go in the positive direction because this is whisker plus. Highlight the three values over here in the whisker column, whisker plus column. Don't care about negative error value. Leave that equals 1 inside the parenthesis. And now we got our lines, but they're not fat. So now we go make our lines fat, get the color. It's one with a darker gray. Let's go with a slightly lighter gray. Personal preference only. And we were at 6.5 last time. If you want to speed things up, you can highlight that, type 6.5 and click enter. And it adds the PT, the point. So we're done with the error bars. So we got the error bars, we got the average. Now we want to do is add the outliers. I'm going to go through all these outliers. To be honest, you don't need a whole bunch of them just for this one plot, right? We don't really need to enter those. If we were just doing this one time and only one time and we were never coming back to this again, maybe you'd want to do that. You definitely do want to show these 6 because we got 3 outliers we definitely want to show. I'm going to go through and do them all. And then that way I'm doing this so sometime in the future, if I wanted to use this again, I could. The nice thing about tables, they're easy to expand or contract. You just drag that little thing, make it bigger, and it presets the size and it'll use everything. Now the thing I keep wondering, and I have not tested, is what if I had a table with a bunch of data and say I just brought it back to the right size? You can do the same thing for adding columns, okay? Easy enough. You can also, if you want to add a column, just start typing to the right and it'll automatically go and grab it and include it in the column. It makes up its own column name, which is easy enough for you to change. Okay, I'm just going to click Control Z to get rid of that, and Control Z again to get rid of that text. Just leave that there like that. So that's another example of why tables are really useful. They do require some overhead, computational overhead, and sometimes it does bog down, but only if you got a big table and you're doing a lot of stuff. Okay, back to what I am doing. I'm adding the outliers. So right-click someplace in the chart, choose Select Data, and then we want to add the series name. We're going to start at the top and just work our way down, and I'm going to tab in between and then I select, right? So I have series X values I've selected. It's changed the horizontal axis, so it makes point. It's stuck that data in there. That's okay. The Y values, remember we have to add those so we get them to align properly. It stuck this -10, it looks like I put all the -10s down here at 1. Okay, that's good. Now I want to, because that was in that equals parenthesis one, I think, is why it stuck them all down there at the 1 value, or the Y, series Y value. So we put the series X values in, and then the series Y values, and now it's got them all in there. Click OK. We're going to add, go for the second min outlier, click Tab, highlight the the X values for second min outlier, click Tab, highlight the Y values, make sure we stay on just a single row, and then click on OK. You could hit Enter if you want, however you like to use your keyboard and your mouse together. Third min outlier, Tab, I select the values, Tab, I can see equals 1 is highlighted, then I select just the row values, the single row of values, click Add. I'm now at first min outlier. Something, if you get lost where I am, you can, by leaving the legend on here, which we're going to get rid of eventually, we can see what's going on. We can see we've put in the first min, second min, third min, the series 8. Oh, that's this one here. So we've already got series 8. That's what that one is. Let's put it at 1, 1. Okay, that's 1, 1, series 8. But that's the one we're currently working on. So we know we need, because there is no first max outlier, then I tab, highlight the values, tab, highlight the secondary Y values. Now you can see everything's going crazy because it goes to the places where I've hidden data. I'm doing add, second max outlier, tab, select the values, tab, select the y-axis values, or the y values. So now I just got one more to go to, third max outlier, tab, those values there, tab, and then select that, the y values for the third max outlier. Click OK. I'm done. So what I'm doing here, if you haven't seen my other video, I'm hiding these values. I'm eventually going to go in and set the x-axis to start at 0. And that'll just hide these values. I'm just parking. There is no outliers. There are no outliers. I had to give it a value in my equations. So I just gave them all a -10. So they all go the same way. It's all going to be off the plot. Nobody will see it. But now we have to deal with what are we going to do about all these points, right? I don't want lines. It gave me lines. I don't want them. So how do I deal with this? What I did, the easiest way for me to keep track of this is click on that little drop down. So I've clicked someplace in the chart. It doesn't matter where you click on the chart. You get in the format chart area. You know, I click somewhere else and I got format error bars up there, right? But they're all just showing me, this drop down arrow will show me all the things within the chart that I can format. I want series, I'm going to start at the top and work my way down. Series first min outlier. And then I click on, not the bars, not this pentagon, but I click on the paint can. I don't want the line, so we get rid of the line. Click on marker, and the reason you can tell is, line is bold. Click on marker, now marker is bold. I don't want the circle for this one. I want to go with red X's. So I click on the X. Now with a X, there is automatic, I'll leave this as automatic. It's automatically, there is no fill. So just leave it on automatic, but the border, I'm just going to click. And I don't want the blue color, I want them all red. And it automatically selects solid line. by just me changing the color. Let it do that. You're good. So now that's everything we wanted to do to that. And the reason, and the way you can tell is on the chart in the legend. Over here, it's interesting. I'm just clicking the control button, and that steps it through those different menus. But over here, so you can see it, please ignore those boxes. You can see that over there, what it is. There's no line, it's just a red X. That's what we want for them all. So I'm going to click outside the box to get rid of that, click back inside the box, click back up here on the drop down arrow, go to second min outlier, click on the paint can. I'm on line, this time it started there, I don't want a line. Click no line, get marker bold, choose a marker. I want the built-in. You have to choose built-in so you can choose a different type. And we want the red X. Don't care about the fill. It'll select it as no fill. And then I want the color. And you can double check where you are looking over here at second min outlier. So now I'm going to go just to the next one, third min outlier. It leaves me in the marker menu. Go to built-in, X, go to color, red. Go to line, no line. It looks good over in the legend. First max outlier, left me in the line menu, choose no line. Marker, marker options, built-in, X, X. And then the color is interesting color, but we choose red, series options, choose second series or second min outlier, second max outlier. That's where I'm at. I get confused when I talk and think, talk and work at the same time. So now we choose the color, line, no line. And then I'm at the third max outlier. I'm on line. I say no line. Marker. I go to, I don't want to go to fill. Excuse me. I go with marker. Choose built-in. A little drop-down arrow. Choose the X. Go down and change that copper color to a red color. I'm looking over here. All of these are what I want. You can see what it did for average, the outliers, the series 3, the series 2. The reason series 1 doesn't have anything to the left of it, because we chose no fill. So that's what it's showing you. You have no fill. Now we don't need this legend anymore. So we could hit delete, and that would get rid of it, just the delete key. Right click, delete would get rid of it. Another way to get rid of it is to click on this chart elements box, unclick legend, and it'll go away. There, it's gone. Now we want to get the axis fixed. We want to get rid of this axis here first. So this is the secondary y-axis. We don't want to show that. It'll confuse things. We only want to see the M1, M2, and M3s. So to get rid of the secondary y-axis labels, we don't unclick axis because that would get rid of them all. We could click delete the same ways as we did the legend, or hit this little right arrow, uncheck the secondary vertical, and that goes away. Now we want to, that just doesn't go away. I'm going to click outside the box. That chart elements box doesn't always go away. Now you can see I have my format axis box here that I just left up. If it wasn't up, it's the same type of thing. You could right click down here on the axis you want to format and click format axis. That'll bring this box up. You can double click on that box and let's bring up a different box there. If I double clicked on that, it'd bring up the same format axis box. If I wanted, I could come and click on horizontal value axis if I was somewhere else. So lots of ways to get there. We want to be on the 3 bars, the axis options, click on the little option thing, the bounds. We want to go from 0 to whatever it needs to be. Auto is okay. If you had an auto you didn't like, you could go to auto and change it to something else. But this auto looks okay. I'm going to leave it alone. So there's the chart. It's looking pretty good. The only last thing to do is change the chart title. And notice if you do a second click, this doesn't always work, but then you click up here in the formula bar. Now you can type whatever you want. I'm going to go horizontal box plot. And then when you hit return up here, it doesn't do the same as, I just wanted to show that, just a different way. If you double click in this box, if you get yourself in, I guess, ready mode in this box, if you get this box so you can edit in there, and the way you can tell is if you got that little cursor blinking, then when you hit return, it'll do that. I just hit delete there to get rid of that. So now I'm clicking out. I believe we are done. I hope this helps. I hope you find this useful. It's been fun going through it. Thank you, and have yourself a good day.